Reviewing endorsement for the proposal of comment RPC 4.4 is the first thing on your agenda. The board will remember this came before us at the last meeting, and the proponents of the comment had some concerns, and we, in thinking about adopting their position, we sent it back to the Committee for Professional Ethics to review it. The Committee of Professional Ethics then did, in fact, call a special meeting together, went through the materials, did review it, and came back with a recommendation. I've heard myself from the proponents who have also talked to CPE, who seem to indicate that they are in agreement with what CPE has come up with. Is Don Curran, the chair of CPE, present?
Present.
Mr. Curran, could you just walk us through what has occurred, or the end result?
Yeah. We had a meeting of the committee telephonically, and by a vote of 7-0, there are 9 members of the committee, and we quorum. So by a vote of 7-0, the Committee on Professional Ethics did not approve the proposed amendment to Exhibit B, which had the words not limited to. However, by a vote of 6-1, the committee recommends a modification of the proposed amendment to delete the words not limited to, so that the revised proposed amendment that is acceptable to the proponents and to the CPE reads as follows. This is comment 4, RPC 4.4, sharing personal information with federal immigration authorities, including home address, court hearing dates, citizenship or immigration status, or place of birth, absent a court order, constitutes a report of person to immigration authorities for purposes of this rule. Right after the telephone conference with the representative of the proponents, who told me that she and her 2 colleagues are accept the proposed modification of the CPE, and I communicated that to the WSBA president shortly after the telephone call. The proponents also wanted me to bring to your attention that they did not agree with the CPE urging the Board of Governors to request the Supreme Court for a reasonable extension of time to allow such affected parties as prosecutors, practicing lawyers employed by local, state, and federal authorities, and practicing lawyers who are also public officials a meaningful opportunity to voice their opinion on the impact of the proposed changes. The CPE asked that I communicate that request to the Board of Governors and our president, and that was done. But the proponents did not approve of that portion. They still do not feel that there should be an extension. That's my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Chair Kern. Deeply appreciated all your efforts on this matter. Are there any representatives of the, just on the matter of the comment RPC 4.4, any representatives of the proponents in the physical space of the WSBA who would like to speak?
There's no one present in the room.
Fantastic. Are there any proponents on the line who would like to make a comment about the recommendation of CPE on the language of the comment? I am surprised. You might be on mute. If I'm going past you, please do not take offense. I'll move this to the Board of Governors now. Or are there any other members of the public who would like to comment on this? Very good. I will now move to the Board of Governors. Governors, you have the floor.
This is PJ. I move that we endorse the proposed comment to RPC 4.4 as revised. and pass that on to the Supreme Court.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I heard a second from, please identify yourself.
Governor Stevens.
Governor Stevens. I have a motion and a second. Any other comments?
Governor Abel.
Governor Abel.
All right, thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Curran, sir, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
I have a question for you, but first of all, let me thank you for your continued service on the CPE and to the other members of the CPE for what you do. It is truly invaluable to this organization, the profession. And thank you for looking at this issue on an expedited basis. I did want to address CPE's urging of this body to request the Supreme Court to grant a reasonable extension to provide...
Governor Abel, we will discuss that next after this first matter.
Well, is it part of the first matter?
Yeah, that will be the second. That is the second matter on our agenda.
How can we vote on the...
Okay, so excuse me. This is Governor Stevens. So, Mr. President, is it your view that we can take this up and still also request that there be an extension? Is that your view as opposed to having...
as I understand it, this would be, if it was adopted by the board, would be our comment that we are submitting. In addition to that, CPE has requested us to ask the court for more time for other commenters.
Okay. I have a question. Unfortunately, the proponents are not here. Can anybody enlighten me on what has been the, I guess I'd say, outreach period on this to other interested parties?
So the Supreme Court, I actually have those materials on hand. Let me see if I'm competent enough to recite them with this table of comments. So the Supreme Court originally published this order on November 6th, 2019, and then they published that in Washington Reports, Washington Register, Washington State Bar Association, Administrative Office of the Court's websites is what they ordered it to be published on. They then set an expedited comment period on it. So the court is the party that set the expedited comment period on it of 60 days. Not exactly sure how they calculate that because my math doesn't actually adds up to us being outside of that 60 days. And I don't know what the court's process is for promulgating the rules. We became aware of it through their promulgation, and all of these parties, here are the parties, the proponents of the rule, who may or may not have promulgated it. It was the ACLU of Washington, Washington Defender Association, Northwest Justice Project, Northwest Immigrants' Rights Project, Washington Immigrant Solidarity Network, Columbia Legal Services, Central Washington Justice for Our Neighbors, Asian Pacific Islander Institute on Gender-Based Violence, Washington State Coalition Against Domestic Violence, Washington Coalition of Sexual Assault Programs, and Colectiva Legal del Pueblo. But the court, I assume, has undergone its normal process. The only difference is that the court ordered an expedited comment period on this matter.
President Majumdar, this is Tara. Can I respond?
Yes, please.
I think I understood your question to be in part about the fact that the proponents are not here and what outreach we've done. And so I wanted to let you know, based on my understanding, the proponents were not at the Committee on Professional Ethics meeting where they discussed this. However, as Mr. Curran was outlining, after that meeting, he did personally have a phone call with one of the proponents about where the Committee on Professional Ethics landed, and I believe what his email details and what he reported here was that they were in agreement on the language. They were not in agreement on the request to extend the comment time because, as they presented at the last meeting, they felt there was some urgency to this. And also, we, being Shelley and President Majumdar, both reached out to the presenters. They definitely knew that this meeting was occurring and that they would have the opportunity to speak to it if they wanted to.
No, that's not really.
Okay.
So I'm looking at, Mr. Curran, I'm looking at, I guess, the second to the last, but I think the substantive part where you're urging us for an extension of time to allow affected parties such as prosecutors, practicing lawyers employed by local, state, and federal authorities, and practicing lawyers who are also public officials, a meaningful opportunity. What I was trying to get at and just understand is in the normal course, and I think I'm hearing enough that one, this at least began to be taken up or at least released for expedited review in November. And so I wouldn't know why those other parties would not have already been made aware of the proposal even before the latest revision. But that's what I was trying to get. Mr. Kern, and Mr. Kern, maybe you can help me. I understand what you're urging, but it almost suggests that these other parties would not have, in the normal course, been aware of the proposed change in the first place.
I cannot answer that, Mr. Governor. I do know that the United States Attorney offices in Seattle and Spokane are aware of this, and it's my understanding they do intend to submit a comment to the court in a timely fashion. Other than that, I do not know of any other parties who have notice of these matters.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Who is that? Governor Clark, please proceed. If it's on the underlying comment.
Yes. I spoke with my boss, and they were not aware of this, and so I forwarded the info on Friday, but I was told we were not made aware of that at all, nor was our state agency. So with that, I'm really kind of it's odd to me that they wouldn't do that.
Governor Clark, so that'll be our second agenda item and bring us back to our first agenda item, which is just the comment proposed to the Board of Governors to adopt. We have a motion and a second on the table.
How can we vote on that without speaking on the whole piece of it?
Well, it seem like two different components. What other organizations choose to do and what the WSBA chooses to do seem like two different parts.
Mr. President?
Why would the bar bless something that's not been vetted?
Well, it's been vetted by the Board of Governors. If it chooses to.
In a vacuum, certainly.
Governor
recognized?
Yes, Governor Stevens.
Okay, so I guess I will speak in favor of the motion, and which is simply our sitting behind the change that's been worked out between the proponents and CPE on its face, and I think that's good work. And how that then gets transmitted in terms of asking for an extension is another matter, but I would urge governors to vote for this change, actually recognizing and thanking the two parties to work together to make this a better proposal.
Any further comments?
Let's vote on the first one and then go to the second one.
Of course.
Governor
hearing none. What was that?
Governor Abel has his hand up.
Oh, Governor Abel.
Rajiv, thank you. Just a quick clarifying question. I understand the discussion about the proposed revision that's been recommended by CPE, and the proponents have agreed to that. But my understanding is that the issue that's in front of us, please clarify if I'm wrong, that we would be voting to positively recommend the entire change, the entire proposed comment to the court. Is that correct? Is that item number one?
This is what we are debating is the WSBA's comment on the proposal that was put forward in November.
Okay, so the entire
And the CPE has recommended to the Board of Governors that it is a good comment, but this change should be made, and a motion has been made to do so, and that has been seconded. That is where we are procedurally.
Okay, so I will offer my brief comment in opposition to the motion. First of all, again, I think this is great work by CPE and its members and by the proponents to work out positive language. Whenever we're dealing with the RPCs, from my perspective, we're dealing with the very core of what we're supposed to do. It sounds like there's some question about whether or not there's additional stakeholder comment that's coming forward. For me personally, I would like to hear if there is stakeholder comment coming forward and what that might be. So I intend to vote against this. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you. Not hearing any further comment. Slowly saying that. I'll start a roll call vote. Governor Grabicki.
Yes.
Governor Stevens.
Yes.
Governor Angeville.
Yes.
Governor Peterson.
Abstain.
Governor Clark.
No.
Governor Abell.
No.
Governor Knight.
Yes.
Governor Tollefson.
Yes.
Governor Swagel.
Abstain.
2 abstentions, 2 no votes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 yes votes. Is that correct, Madam Executive Director?
Yes, that's what I have.
Okay. The motion passes. The
President
WSBA will...
McGivern? Oh, okay.
Yes. Yes?
This is Jean. You didn't
That was
call my
Governor
name.
King. You've joined us. Fantastic. Governor King, do you vote on this matter?
Yes.
Governor King votes. That's 6 votes, 2 noes, 2 abstentions. The motion passes. Thank you, Governor King.